Hello everyone and welcome to the Toyota Good for Footy virtual huddle, brought to you of course by Toyota. Now this is just another example of Toyota's passion for grassroots footy. They've tipped in over $6 million Australia-wide so far. So they love grassroots footy and they're really looking forward to hearing from all of you. We do have a special guest, someone that started when she was a lot smaller and a lot younger, and she still loves her footy. Let's give a big round of applause to a favourite in South Australia, Erin Phillips. Great to have you here.
Hey, thanks.
Hey, Erin, we'll start with you. How have you been going in the whole COVID thing? It's all been a bit unusual, hasn't it?
It sure has. I think, like everybody else, just trying to adjust. Every day, I guess, in the early stages is kind of you woke up and something was different and extremely different. So it was, to be honest, it was a little bit uncomfortable in the beginning, just not knowing what was going on. We were in the, towards the end of our season, and we had I think 2 or 3 games left. And then all of a sudden, the end just came, and there was no end to a season. There was no premiere. There was no conclusion. So it was very, very weird. I had some separation anxiety from my teammates for a while, because obviously we weren't allowed to train anymore, and the end of season just came so quickly. I've just been I've been at home trying to keep fit in the garage. I had a stationary bike that I've trying to master that, and then obviously I got 3 kids, 3.5-year-old twins and a 10-month-old baby, so life is still very, very busy.
Erin, I also have a bit of a basketball background, and I often use some of my basketball concepts to translate it over into football. So I'm curious how you've used your experience as a professional basketballer to assist yourself as you transitioned into a professional footballer.
Yeah, I think there's 2 parts that have definitely helped me. One, having been a part of a professional, sport for the past. I finished football when I was 13, and then it came back to it 17 years later. So within that 17 years was just basketball, and grew up and played in a professional level internationally. And so, just using different levels of professionalism when I come to training, because I've been playing with the best basketball players in the world, watching them, how they get ready for games, how they practice, how they're switched on every single training session, and learnt so many things in preparing yourself to be able to play at the best, in the best possible way. And then also the technical side with basketball, there's a lot of things that you can do in football that you can do in basketball, like setting screens, creating switches, different types of pressing the game, like, full court pressing and defense in basketball. So being able to, when you play basketball, you have such a limited you have to make really quick decisions. And that all translates between footy and basketball. So those are the keys that have definitely helped me, with both sports.
What's the comparison like between Australia and the US? Would you say we're behind in women's sport here compared to the US?
Look, I think the thing in the US is that there's so many. College sports is something that we just don't have here in Australia. Over in America, it's just so big, and the funding levels within those colleges to support those different sporting programs, with the amount, the population of America is so much higher. So there's more, more female athletes over there as well. And then you've also got I could sit down and watch TV, and I can actually watch high school basketball, at 6 o'clock at night on one of the channels over in America. So the coverage of women's sport compared to here is so much bigger. But in saying that, if I'm comparing American female sport to American men's sport, we're miles apart still. But yeah, look, just I think the college factor is huge in the level amount of participation and being able to get coverage of those different sports. I don't know if any of you guys have got to experience and go see any college sporting or seen it on TV, but you know, they're very, very patriotic, they're very supportive. You know, those colleges are like AFL teams, you know, people support them. If, for example, my wife went to Iowa State and her parents went to Iowa State and her grandparents went to Iowa State and her grandparents are still supporting financially, like giving back to the school. That's how patriotic they are in helping, you know, keep funding the school so that their sport programs for both men and women are successful. So it's a whole nother world. Very hard to compare Australia to American sport.
What's important in a captain? Like, I think what I've found, it's just supporting them, encouraging them, and trying to be that role model. But I suppose I do have a bit of a question, like, what's important? Like, what are some of your tips? Obviously, because you've done it yourself.
I think the biggest thing, number one, is don't compare yourself to another leader. Don't try to necessarily be somebody else. Like, leaders can lead in their own way and have their own style. And I think as long as you're authentic, you communicate well, you're trustworthy, really great leaders will lead mostly by example rather than just words. You know, sometimes girls can be quite reserved about wanting to be a leader because they think they have to talk all the time. When you actually don't. You can just be a great leader by your actions, the way you train, the way you can just encourage people. You might just tap people on the back, and that might be your way of being a great leader. And I think that's awesome. And I think sometimes we can get, I guess, a little bit scared, or we kind of stereotype leaders to being these very boisterous, like rah-rah, you know, kind of leaders. But everyone's different, and as long as you display what your coach is the messages your team and your coach are trying to display, and you work hard and you're a good teammate, to me that's a great leader.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.